Welcome to the podcast, the brand spanking new podcast, straight out of San Diego. What's this podcast called?
It's called The Shipyard, man.
Who is this Shipyard featuring?
It's featuring the one and only Van Awesome.
That's me.
Yes, it is. And the other one only, Smithy.
That's you.
Yes.
Who's this podcast presented by?
It is.
Wait.
Hold on.
Smithy, are you saying we have a sponsor already?
Yeah, actually do.
We have a sponsor?
A real, honest to goodness sponsor.
Welcome to the Shipyard, folks. This is the Shipyard with Brian Smithy Smith, and I am your host, Van Awesome, Joe Van Dalsum.
I'm a host too.
Well, I am their host. You're
right.
My host.
My apologies.
Welcome to the Shipyard, presented by the Beard Club. That's right.
Beard Club.
The Beard Club has sponsored us on Blind Faith and Blind Faith alone, which I have to give them a lot of credit for doing, because
Little do they know the joke's on them.
there is a joke coming their way. They have no idea where they've gotten themselves involved.
No, they're going to be blindsided. Football reference.
Football? Smithy, is this podcast about football?
It absolutely is.
Well, it hasn't always been about football, was it?
No. It was, a deep dive into our personal lives that we broadcast to millions and millions of subscribers.
Yeah, if you happen to listen to us previously, you would have found that this podcast was more or less following myself and Smithy spiraling out of control into an endless pit of despair.
It's a deep pit.
It's a deep pit, and it culminated, with us just kind of being lonely.
With cats.
Cats. We both owned cats. We both have, unkempt beards.
Yes.
Just very unkempt. Needless to say, Smithy, it was a real happy-go-lucky entertainment extravaganza.
It was. I mean, just unadulterated fun.
It was. But we stopped doing it. And in that span of time, of course, the Chargers ended up leaving this great city of San Diego.
Beautiful city.
Beautiful city, leaving us estranged football fans.
And upset and mad, too.
Upset and mad and
angry.
Just angry.
Whatever. Like, if I can get me a thesaurus, I'd come up with more words.
We could list out all the words for anger.
Yes.
And in fact, that's what we're going to do for the rest of this podcast.
So if you stand by.
Peeved.
Distraught.
That's all I got. I'm done.
It's not a big thesaurus.
But yeah, so San Diego went to Los Angeles, of all places, a city that I loathe, by the way. I lived there for 10 years. It's the worst.
I can't say I hate LA, but I dislike LA.
I despise it.
That's, you know what? That's okay.
By the way, big shout out to the 2018 Dodgers for just killing it in the World Series.
Man, what a performance.
Bang up job, Dodgers. You guys are a
tell you what,
quality franchise.
They really mashed those sticks and balls.
That they did. So long story short, Smithy, we are a couple of estranged football fans, and we got some news. Some amazing, fantastic news.
What is that fantastic news?
There is this organization called the Alliance of American Football.
I like it already.
And they have announced that they are placing a football team right here in San Diego.
Woo!
It's called the Fleet.
Very appropriate. It's a Navy town.
A Navy town called the Fleet. Now, the Fleet, initially, I was like, okay, appropriate name for the city.
Totally.
But it's a little bit odd for a sports team name, I would say.
Yeah, because most team names have an S at the end of it.
Yeah, and it's like if you're a member of it, you're like, and I'm stealing this from another podcast. I'll just be blunt about that. But it's, say if you're a 49ers, if you're on the 49ers, you're a 49er.
Yeah.
If you're on the Fleet, you're a Fleeter?
Fleeter?
You're a Fleetman?
A Fleety?
That's something we should come up with. Like, what are the players on the Fleet actually called? Fleet Skidoodles?
Yeah.
Fleetmans? I like Fleetman.
Fleetman's
the front runner right now.
Yes.
We'll go with Fleetman for the time being. And but that's not politically correct. Okay, we'll call them Fleet people.
Fleetums.
I like it. Fleetums.
Done.
Now, this group of Fleetums is going to be a powerhouse. I'm basing that on the fact that Mike Martz is at the helm.
Super Bowl
Super Bowl
NFL
championships.
coach with the
NFL.
St. Louis Rams at the time.
Now, I am going to state a fact that may or may not be a fact, but I'm going to state it.
Can I pause you for one
Sure.
second?
Yes, please do.
I'm going to put this on the table. I'm going to put this on the table for all of our listeners.
Okay.
I love facts.
Well, good, because I've got a doozy for you.
Sweet.
And it may or may not be true.
Okay.
I'm just putting that out there right now.
Hey, as long as it's a fact.
But I believe, I think that this fact is a fact. And that fact is that every head coach in the AAF of all the teams that have been announced either has a NCAA championship or a Super Bowl championship.
That's amazing, actually.
Which actually is pretty amazing. And when I heard that, definitely true fact, I immediately felt that the AAF had some credibility behind them because of the coaches that they're putting to these teams.
Yeah, these aren't scrub coaches.
They're not scrub coaches. They're not people you've never heard of. They've definitely got some good names behind them. For example, the Orlando Apollos, which, again, another odd name.
Odd logo.
Odd logo. But their head coach is Steve Spurrier, which I believe is going to be endlessly entertaining.
Yes. Come on, it's Steve Spurrier.
Steve Spurrier. There needs to be a camera on him the entire time on the Jumbotron. Don't even show the game. Just point the camera at Steve Spurrier.
But at every game.
At every
Not
game.
just their games.
Yeah, every game.
All the other games, too. It's the Spurrier cam all through the AAF.
Spurrier cam all through the AAF. You heard it here first. It's going to happen.
Yes.
But what we're going to do right now, Smithy, is we're going to do the AAF lightning round. What do you think? What do you think about that?
That was awesome.
We are going to brain dump everything that we have learned about the AAF over the last couple of weeks and just barf it into your earlobes right now.
And get ready to
Download some info.
Whoa. That was exciting.
This will be one amazing ride.
All right. So there is 8 teams.
I like it because it's divisible by 4 and 2.
I mean, it's an even number.
Yes.
It's a 10-game season.
That's
Now,
a good, you know what? That's a good amount of games for an inaugural season.
I agree. Especially with 8 teams, because if you have any more than that, everyone's going to be playing each other 5 times.
Yeah.
So a 10-game season's pretty cool. Now, what I've heard is that the draft for the season starts the day after the NFL 53-man cutdown.
Oh.
Which is pretty interesting if you ask me, because you're just picking up the cream of the crop scraps. You're not just picking up anybody. These were people that were NFL hopefuls, just didn't make it. And a lot of those people are talented.
And who are just in the mix of it, too. There was no time to cool down. There's no, I'm 33-year-old. I'm sitting on the couch for the last 4 months waiting for that phone call. No, it's the very next day.
The very next day. So that's when they're going to start ramping up their teams, putting their squads together and doing their draft. And then the season starts in February, the weekend after the Super Bowl.
Which is good because you still have football even after the Super Bowl.
You have football the weekend after the Super Bowl. I believe it's Saturday, and they're playing on Saturdays and Sundays.
I like it.
I believe they have a deal with CBS. And then they will also be streaming all of the games in their app, which is pretty cool. For free.
Yeah, for free.
For free.
Freebies.
So back to the timeline. We know that the end of the season is going to be right before the NFL draft.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's good timing, actually.
It's good timing. So the NFL draft will happen right after the end of the season. So then I'm assuming that all the AAF players will then be released and potentially able to be drafted again or picked up again by the NFL teams looking to ramp up their training camps. So overall, I feel like this is a very complementary system to the NFL, not positioning itself as a challenger, but more of a companion too.
And that's how I looked at it too. More of a companion, not necessarily like a feeder league. For instance, like the D League and NBA, that type of thing. This is more of NFL level play, NFL level coaching, NFL level skills. And sometimes the players, especially younger, coming out of college, they haven't quite developed the skills to actually make the NFL team. But this league will give them that experience, I hope, to where they, if they want to, make that transition to the NFL. And teams will, NFL teams will look at them and say, hey, you know what? Now you're good enough.
And to that point, Smithy, they've made some rule changes that I think kind of focus the play on the actual football and the players, which will kind of help to elevate these guys in the way that you described. And those changes are the following. All right, I'm just going to rattle them off. One,
fire away.
There's no kickoffs.
Yes.
None at all.
Yes.
Wait, did we already talk about this?
No.
No. Okay. We'll edit that out. So, yeah, no kickoffs at all. Who needs them?
Nobody.
Good riddance. They're
And
goners.
Should reduce injuries.
Reduce injuries. So player safety has been an item that they discussed as a reason why to get rid of the kickoffs. Number 2, no extra points except for 2-point conversions. No kicking extra points.
I like that.
Who wants to see that?
I that's a cool rule.
So to those 2 points, I think that does a couple of things. One is it kind of just focuses on the football element of it.
It does.
The other element of this in the kicking game is that there's no onside kick. If there's no kickoffs, how do you do an onside kick?
There you go.
So what they've done is apparently you get one shot to make a 15-yard pickup. Ooh. I believe it's 15. It might be 10.
Either way, it sounds interesting.
Either way, you get one shot, and if you do it, you retain possession of the ball, and you go on and you continue playing on your merry way.
I like that because you know what? You got some coaches out there that are going to be the risk takers.
Yep. And maybe they'll just onside kick every single
time.
possession. They're like, we're literally never going to give you the ball.
That's how I play Madden. I never punt.
I never punt. Onside kick every time.
Every time.
I never want the opposing team to have the ball. I want to crush them 1,000 points to 0. And that's a good football game.
I feel satisfied.
But what that does is kind of interesting because if you think about it, you're reducing the amount of people you need on special teams.
Correct.
Which allows you to cut your roster to a smaller, more manageable size.
And it helps the budgets for the teams.
It helps the budgets, everyone on your team. So one, financially it helps it out to get it started. And 2, everyone on your team is really playing football. You know, there's not just special teams guys. No one's sitting around. Yeah. Like they're out there playing football and they're getting ready and showing off what they have. The other big element of this is from the fans' perspective. So that the rule changes from the fans' perspective, I think they've really focused on moving the game along. So the first rule there is that there's no automatic reviews.
I like that too.
Yeah, there will be coaches' challenges.
Okay. You know, I mean, not to throw you off or nothing like that, because, you know, a lot of this is new. The curious thing will be is how many challenges will each team get?
That I don't think we know yet.
Because if it's too many, that may end up slowing the game
I hope it's
down.
not like 10.
Right.
But if they do it NFL style where you get 2 per half,
totally,
that's fine. But if you're not constantly reviewing every single play like it is in the NFL, and a game takes 5 hours now, like or average, just ridiculous amount of time. So the other element of that is that I've heard conflicting reports. I've heard that there will be drastically reduced TV timeouts, and I've heard that there will be no TV timeouts.
I would like to go with no TV timeouts.
I'm going to put my vote in for the no TV timeouts as well, Smithy.
It's why?
Yeah.
Why would you need? Come on. It's let's just see the players play.
Let's see the players play, man. Let's let them hash it out on the field. You don't need a TV timeout.
You need to see a commercial for the 50th time, the same commercial over and over again, repeating themselves, just like Joe Buck.
Just like Joe Buck. Smithy hates Joe Buck. I am more of a hater of the Chris Collinsworth.
You know, Chris Collinsworth, while knowledgeable, has a very irritating voice.
Now here's a guy.
I
agree. I guess he's knowledgeable, except for that his knowledge always goes to him proclaiming that someone on the field is the greatest at something in the history of the NFL. And if that were true, then every single team on every single broadcast of his has one of the all-time greats at every single position in the NFL.
Maybe he's seeing something we're not seeing.
That's got to be.
He is a former player himself.
All right, Smithy, let's go. Right. Let's reel it on back. Reel it on back. So
I apologize.
We went through basically the AAF speed round. Those are all the differences that we know of so far. There is an awesome element to this game that we have not covered yet. And this part
I cannot wait.
It's really got me excited because if you know me, I am a huge, massive fantasy football player.
This is no exaggeration at all. So take him for his word, please.
And I will just like to take this opportunity to point out that I thoroughly destroyed Smithy in our league that we're in together this week.
I have to say this though. I felt bad for him because he
Destroyed.
was on a losing streak.
One game.
It's still a losing streak. Yeah, I sat Roethlisberger. I just felt like this weekend wasn't his time. But
Smith
it's okay.
got killed, but I'm humble about it. I'm humble in victory.
The level of humbleness is just far exceeding your handsomeness.
I'm not very handsome, but all right. So the fantasy element of the AAF game is really, really interesting. And what I've heard and what we're coming to expect is that there's going to be integrated app experience to the fan experience at the ball game.
During the game.
And what that will include is in-game prop betting. So you can vote on who you think's going to get the next catch, who you think's going to get the next touchdown. Not just vote, but bet on it. And
slap some dollars on that next play.
Exactly. So that will be really interesting. What I'm curious to find out is that an 8-team league, obviously you're not going to be able to do your traditional season-long style fantasy football. I think it's going to more adopt the daily fantasy football model.
That definitely makes more sense because with 8 teams, 10 games, that's such a truncated quote-unquote fantasy football season.
It is.
You kind of do have to go with the daily, in my opinion.
With the daily, it's kind of like the DraftKings main slate, right? Every week is the DraftKings main slate. And that's a lot of fun to play. So, by the way, we will definitely be doing a listener league. So keep an eye out for that. As fantasy develops, we will be bringing you all of the fantasy news that we possibly can. Now, MGM Grant has partnered with the AAF to bring this experience into their app.
That's a big partner.
That is a big, big partner, and that's really interesting. It's also, the championship is actually going to be in Vegas.
Which, by the way, is where the fleet will be for the championship game.
That's right.
On the field.
You hear that? You hear that, Apollos?
In your silly Will logo?
You hear that, Commanders?
In your sword logo?
In your sword logo? You hear that, Stallions?
I like the colors, though.
Yeah, they're good. Which ones?
The Commanders.
The kind of red and
maroonish. And
well, thanks for derailing our shouting session.
That's what I'm here for, man.
Bring in a little positivity.
We can go back into it, especially when you start looking at the stallion.
All right, so let's just talk about the team names for a second, shall we?
This is going to be fun.
In my opinion, Smithy, this league has one hurdle, and one massive hurdle. And every time I've brought up the league to a buddy of mine, or anybody for that matter, I start describing, I was like, hey, there's this new league. It's called the AAF. And it's immediately met with like scorn and skepticism. Like, oh, another football league coming. Here we go. Who's playing? The Tallahassee Aardvarks versus the
Hulk Hogan, the quarterback.
So there is an element of skepticism that just surrounds any football attempt that's not the NFL. And
it's sad but true.
So you've kind of got a very limited, the AAF's got a big hurdle in front of them, and they have to do things right.
Yes, and one of the biggest hurdles is perception.
Perception, exactly.
And how do you get over that if you get off on the wrong foot?
Exactly. And which leads us to the team names. So a couple weeks ago, the AAF announced all of the team names for all of the cities. And they claimed that the names were going to be very, very city specific. Would have a deep, rich history to that city. And I'm just going to, let's just one by one, we'll start with the Memphis Express. Now, there's another podcast, very successful podcast going on right now for the Memphis Express, and I highly recommend that you go listen to their team name reveal episode.
It's a good one.
Daniel and Michelle from the Memphis AAF podcast had the absolute greatest reactions to this team name because they are from Memphis and they despise it. I've had some fun with it. No, I can't blame them. It's got the same problem that the fleet has. Like, what do you call them? I'm an expressman?
The express-eye?
Express-eye?
Express.
Right? So we actually had kind of some Twitter wars and some,
May I interject one thing with
Sure.
that name, Express. Now, come with me on a trip.
Okay, let's go.
Back to the early to mid 80s in the USFL. There was a team called the LA Express.
Ah,
Could this be a jinx? I hope not. By using a name that was used in a league that has folded. I hope
that's
it's not a
good
jinx.
point. I did not know that. I didn't know that there was an LA Express.
Yeah.
I thought, because one of the reasons I heard, one justification of this name that I had heard, was that it was unique and that no other professional sports team had it.
Really?
Which I think is true that it does not currently have it. But what I'm
yes.
hearing now is there was a USFL football team,
LA Express.
LA Express.
Now I can see where
Interesting.
Memphis got the Express name from, because isn't that where FedEx is headquartered?
Is headquartered in Memphis. So it might mean a lot to the people of the city. I'm sure a lot of people work for FedEx. We had some fun with nicknames around, postal puns, so to speak. And in fact, we took it to a vote on Twitter and asked the good people, the good fans of the Memphis
Those
Express,
fine people
those
in
fine
Memphis.
people in Memphis, hey, we have some suggestions for what to call your fan base.
Let's
And
hear 'em.
we put it to a poll, and so here was the first suggestion: was the Memphis. So you're calling your fan base the Express Priority Overnighters.
That's not bad.
I like it.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
It's a real strong postal pun.
Totally.
Number 2 was the Express Lanes.
Yeah, it gives it a little expediency.
Little expediency, right? Who doesn't like going to the Express Lane?
And the games are supposed to be faster, so it all
Games
fits.
are supposed to be faster. Okay. Now, this one was my personal favorite. This option was for what to call your fan base. Of course, you should be calling them the parcels containing anything fragile, liquid, perishable, or potentially hazardous, including lithium batteries and perfumes.
That's what I voted for.
I also cast my vote in that direction, and it ended up winning. Now here's what's awesome about the AAF, in my opinion, right now, and this is what is making this so much fun for me.
And me.
And Smiffy.
I'm still
Let's
here.
not forget Smiffy. But the president of the Memphis Express replied to this poll and demanded to know a fourth option. What's option 4? Apparently he was not satisfied with the 3 that I put up in the post. But Kosha Irby, and I believe I'm mispronouncing that, demanded a fourth option, to which, of course, I gave. And it was the Express International Insured 2-Day with tracking and signature verificationers.
That's perfectly acceptable for a fourth choice.
Fourth choice. I think if it had been in the original poll, it would have been a strong candidate.
I think 3 and 4 would have gone down to the wire. And there may have even the possibility of having a tie-breaking vote.
That's true. Well, we have fun, and I digress.
And that's what matters.
We do. But what's awesome is that literally you can throw something up right now on Twitter, and the president of that team will reply to you potentially.
Which is fantastic.
Which is
Try
a
to
lot
do
of fun.
that right now with, say, the Houston Oilers, because nobody's going to respond because they don't exist anymore.
You can't do it.
But if you do the Tennessee Titans, they just won't respond either. And they still exist.
Exactly.
But in the AAF, guess what? Not only will you get responses from like presidents of teams, probably the GMs of teams, coaches, players. I mean, part of the fan experience is having interaction with the players and the coaching staff. How can you not like that?
I think it's great. And I honestly think that there's an element of that's how they're going to be successful, right?
Yeah.
Is the interaction with the fan. And I've actually heard that their salaries they'll be getting incentivized bonuses to interact.
Well, that's awesome.
At every level, be it social media or actually performing good in the fantasy game. But let's continue down back to the team names, if we will. The second team, shall we?
Yes, we
Now, all right. We'll keep it in the East for now. We started with Memphis Express, and the next team is the Salt Lake City Stallions. Now, I don't know what the relationship to Salt Lake City a stallion has.
I can probably think off the top of my head 5 things to relate to Salt Lake City besides horses.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But let me preface this with something real quick.
Okay, go for it.
I don't like horses.
Screw horses.
I don't like horses at all.
Stupid horses.
They're just mean. I don't like them.
You are a monster, sir. Horses are majestic.
Yeah, that's what people try to tell you. But you know what? The only good horse I've seen is carrying around beer.
All right. So the Salt Lake City Stallions don't really see the obvious connection there, but
maybe somebody could send us a tweet and maybe explain that relationship, because again, Stallions, Salt Lake City. I'm thinking the Tabernacles, something. The Salt Lake City Salt Lakes, something.
Salty Lakes,
Salty Lakes. I like it. But what's the mountain range they have there? I don't know. I used to live
Himalayas.
No, I don't know.
Andes,
something.
Colorado
snow.
I'm way off on my mountain game.
I am too. But
anywho. So yeah, we don't really get that one. It's okay. I mean, at least there's the team members are stallions, right? So at least.
And I don't like the colors.
Yeah, the colors are kind of generic. So
yeah,
Orlando Apollos.
Oh boy.
I mean, I get it with the moon landing. I hate the logo. The logo's awful. In my opinion, it should have been the literal moon landing Apollo mission. Spacecraft would have been an awesome logo, right?
Or Apollo Creed.
There we go. Oh, back to Salt Lake City Stallions.
Oh,
the Salt Lake City.
He said, "Did he?"
I did. The Salt Lake City Italian Stallions.
Yes.
Now we're talking.
That I could go with, because on their helmets they could have Rocky Balboa.
Yep.
On their helmets. I mean,
or punch them out punch gloves, right?
Exactly.
Oh, now we're talking.
Or the red, white, and blue shorts.
All right.
I think they missed a golden opportunity.
They did miss a golden opportunity there, but an excellent photoshopping opportunity for you in the future, Smithy.
Ooh, and you know what? And I love Photoshop.
Yeah, you do. Consider it an assignment to be released on Twitter shortly. All right, moving on.
Can we talk about Apollos just a little bit more?
Okay, the Apollos.
That logo.
Oh,
what is it?
Is it awful?
Is it a wheel? A circle? Is it a ring? Is that like one of the offshoots from the Green Lantern?
I don't know. It's an O with a bow and arrow guy in the middle.
Oh,
and
is that what?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Seriously,
you didn't even catch it?
No.
Yeah, it's like an O with a bow and arrow. It kind of looked like a brooch.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's not good.
The Orlando Brooches is their new name.
The Orlando Brooches. All right, I like it.
Yep.
All right, so, and again, what do you call an Apollo? I guess they're an Apollo.
Yeah,
right? It's just tough. These are tough names to associate players with.
Right. That's tough.
Anyway, moving on. San Antonio, they're the Commanders. I feel like that's probably one of the stronger names.
Yeah, that's, you know what? For a football team, that's a strong name. I get the San Antonio Commanders because you have the Alamo there.
Yep.
And
Very
that fits. That really does fit.
The logo features the Alamo.
It does. I didn't realize that until you just said it.
Yep.
Look at me.
Overall, very strong name, strongish logo. I'm not a huge fan of the logo, but it's a decent logo for San Antonio
colors,
Commanders.
though, I really do like those colors.
The colors, it's kind of the red and the maroonish red.
Yes, and that's subjective. I get it. But I would say San Antonio, ding, ding, ding. You know, you're up there.
All right. Next up is the Atlanta Legends.
Oh, boy.
I don't dislike this one.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of the logo, but I like the name.
I hate the logo and the colors, the royal purple and what is it, pewter or something?
I have a soft spot for the purple because my college was purple. We were the Kingsmen. And
I think purple guys.
Kingsmen purple guys.
You won a lot of games, didn't you?
Did we have a football team? Yeah, no.
Well.
But yeah, we were a Division III little school. It's not important, but the purple I don't mind in a sports team.
You know, I think the Baltimore Ravens utilize purple quite well. And then that logo just, it looks like
I think the point is
my
that
13-year-old cousin did it.
Yeah. They're kind of forgettable, right? But so the point is, here we're kind of striking out all except for so far to the Commanders on the colors and the logo, and AAF really had one shot to nail this down, right?
And what are the Legends?
The Legends, they're just dudes,
Like, how is that?
They're Legends, man.
To Atlanta?
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know the Atlanta connection to the Legends either.
Yeah, I mean, it would made more sense if it was like the Atlanta Shermans.
The Shermans.
Sherman's March to the Sea burnt down Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's kind of twisting the knife, but at least it makes more sense.
Yeah. Okay. I get it.
So,
Also, Mike Vick, offensive coordinator there.
really?
Thoughts on that?
Wow.
Yeah. Michael Vick, the former Atlanta Falcon,
Yes.
is the offensive coordinator of the Atlanta Legends.
Well, that should be interesting. I don't, because when he was a player, he was kind of a fly by the seat of your pants player.
He was.
I made up a lot of stuff on the go, so I wonder how that's going to transition to actually being a, no pun intended, coordinator.
Could go interesting if he has schemes in his head that could create those situations, those type of unpredictable situations. Then that might be actually kind of interesting. And I'm curious to see how the quarterback play is going to go.
Yeah, I'm picturing him drawing plays in the sand.
Yeah, backyard football.
Right. Here's this bottle cap.
All right, so moving along, we got the Arizona Hot Shots.
This one I get.
This one I get too.
I get the name.
It's kind of a sentimental take on this one. There was the group of I forget the exact number, but a lot of firefighters that died in a wildfire out in Arizona.
Yes,
and that particular brand of firefighter is called a hot shot. So that makes sense to me.
it's like firefighting on its own is dangerous.
Yep.
Now they're going to throw in this element of these hot shots where they actually jump out of planes to get to very hard to get to places to fight fires.
They do, man. They are pretty much.
It's almost like they're the SEAL team of firefighters.
They're the SEAL teams of firefighters. Great way to put it.
Yes.
Birmingham Iron. Thoughts on the logo? This logo is. I mean, I get the name.
This logo is El Cheapo.
It's like the guy who designed this logo just discovered the bevel button in the blending options
In Photoshop.
In Photoshop.
And just kept hitting the plus button.
Plus,
to add more
plus,
bevel.
crank that bevel up to 100. 100's not enough. Crank it up to 200.
We need more bevel.
We need more bevel. So in my mind, it's the Birmingham bevel.
Yes. Now,
The logo is the worst right now.
it's so
Hands down the worst logo, in my opinion, of the entire operation.
It was like, just get it done.
Yeah.
Is it? Oh yeah. By end of business, can we get that logo there, Charlie?
It's 4:45, Chuck.
Yeah, we got to roll.
Bang that one up. Hey, crank up that bevel and get it in.
But
do you think you added enough bevel, Chuck?
I don't know, man.
No.
We should have a meeting about the bevel. Set up something in Outlook.
Man, not ideal.
But I get the name. And
Name makes perfect sense.
Yes, and I think this goes back to the Civil War era, where in Birmingham they actually produced a lot of shot, which is created with a lot of bevel.
Absolutely. You can't get a good shot without bevel.
No. Just doesn't go as fast.
All right, so moving on, of course, to the San Diego Fleet. We already discussed them briefly. The Fleet is a good name, all except for that we just don't know what to call Fleet players. I believe we settled on Fleetums, which doesn't really stick.
Fleeties kind of.
Fleeties, I don't know.
It's cute, but it's not football.
Yeah, exactly. But the colors are awesome.
I love the colors.
Love the colors. The battleship gray and then the lighter gray and the yellow. I can tell you just from designing our show logo, those colors have been a lot of fun to work with. And the logo, hands down, Smithy, the best logo, non-biased opinion, the best logo in all of the AAF. Hands down. Oh, not even close.
Both hands down.
Yeah.
They
nailed it.
Everything. Yeah, they nailed it. It's total, like, if there was a logo that's on point, it's the Fleet's logo.
I agree. And I will tell you this right now, as a fan, the logo is what actually got me. I saw the logo and it piqued my interest and I was like, what? I have to look into this further, which led to many things. The rekindling of me and Smithy getting back together and directly to this podcast is all because they nailed that San Diego Fleet logo.
So whoever designed that logo, thank you.
Hands down, best logo in the AAF. I suspect, though, that it was probably one guy who designed all of
every
the logos.
single one.
And Birmingham was at the end, and he was under a deadline, and he had to get it in, and he cranked up that bevel. Smithy, let's talk about the fleet specifically and everything that we know about the fleet, because those are our guys.
This is the point in the podcast that I've been waiting for.
Me too. This is the climax, so to speak.
The finale?
The finale. That may have been a more appropriate
Either
terminology. But the fleet. We are awesome. Hands down the best logo. Hands down the best colors. Hands down the best head coach. I'm talking about Mike Martz.
The trifecta. That just screams championship.
It does. And also, doesn't Mike Martz just remind you of Mark?
Our buddy Mark could be a clone.
We have got a friend
Coach Martz.
named Mark, and he looks identical to Mike Martz.
I will bet you $5 that if we put our buddy Mark in a fleet shirt, dyed his hair white, we could get him into the stadium, no questions asked.
I will take that bet, and I bet you once Mark gets in there, because Mark is hands down the nicest man that I've ever met in my entire life. I bet he'll just assume the role. He'll get out there and he'll be like, "Hey, bang up job out there, guys. Here's a crisp $5 bill for your efforts."
Yeah,
here's a crisp $5.
He's like Grandpa.
He's like Uncle Mike Martz.
Yes.
It's just handing out crisp $5s for doing a good job.
After games, he stays on the sidelines, eats some milk and cookies, shares his cookies.
Oh, that's nice if you met Uncle Mark.
Not only with the players, but with the fans.
With the fans? Hey fans, bang up job up there. Here's some crisp $5s.
You know what? Third
That's
quarter, I love the way you cheered. Here's 2 cookies.
And a crisp $5.
And a crisp 5. But yeah,
so Mike Martz could be the biggest hard ass in the history of the world. I have no idea, but he looks just like our buddy Mark, and therefore I'm assigning him this adorable uncle. Yeah, handing out crisp $5s.
He could be
persona.
a Tyrannosaurus Rex in the locker room. It's like, gosh,
we do not know that.
No,
but in our minds,
he's
it's
a sweetie.
It's Uncle Mike.
It's Uncle Mike
dealing the crisp $5s,
and cookies.
Players.
That sounds great.
Oh, by all means, Smithy, proceed, sir.
Oh, well, thank you.
Actually, I was the one that had something to say next, so I'm going to go. But yeah, we talked about the incentivizing of the play. I think the crisp 5 philosophy fits right into that model.
It does. You know what? And it's an immediate reward, too.
Immediate.
Who doesn't like that?
And exclusive to the San Diego fleet. But this is now an official thing.
Yes. Trademark, hashtag official.
So we got our season tickets, Smithy.
Very, very well priced tickets, I must say.
Very well priced. And I'm excited about them. We got for 4 tickets, $15 a pop.
That's
in the
ridiculous.
Front row, in the end zone. We're calling it the Shipyard.
The Shipyard.
Welcome to the Shipyard. Hang on a second. Hang on.
I'm
hang on one.
Welcome to the Shipyard.
All right. Okay. I just had to do that real quick.
It was worth it.
It was worth it. Now, the Shipyard, section F-19. This is going to be the place to be.
You will not want to be anywhere else.
You will not want to be anywhere else. And this is what I'm so excited about. This is why this podcast exists. We have an opportunity right now, Smith.
We do.
We have an opportunity to define the sports culture of a city.
Who gets to do that? That's such a rare opportunity.
It's a very rare opportunity, and we have the opportunity right now to just go nuts with this thing. Right?
It's not even scripted. There's nothing. There's no rules. There's no restrictions. Basically, we're going to be just limited to our imagination.
I know, and it's super exciting, and I think the city will get behind it, because if you've looked at the goals, for example, the San Diego Gulls hockey team, they are killing it, almost selling out the sports arena every single game.
Wait. Hockey in San Diego is selling out.
Yes, and
that's amazing.
The people love their minor league hockey team here in San Diego.
They do. I can confirm.
Now, you and I know that people in San Diego love the Chargers. I think the outside perception was that San Diego had a little bit of a lax fan base.
Right.
And I think that could, depending on the year, be true. But I had tickets back when LT was playing back in 2006 when he broke the record. And there was no place like watching football at Qualcomm Stadium.
That's very true. I remember those days.
It was incredible. Now, The other element, I think this is just true of all Southern California sports, especially once you get to the pro like NFL level, is everybody comes here from other cities.
That is very true. It's a very transient area of the country.
They bring their fandom with them.
They do.
So whenever their teams come, of course they're going to go to that game. It's just the environment. It's just the reality of our awesome location.
Who can you blame them?
But when a minor league hockey team comes to town, there's no allegiances to minor league hockey.
It's minor league hockey.
It is San Diego's team. It is
Hands
San Diego's
down,
team.
no matter where you're from.
Yeah, and AAF, there's no prerequisites here.
Zero.
Nobody has any loyalty to any of these teams.
Nope.
If they're in San Diego now, they're going to be a San Diego Fleet fan.
From the ground floor.
From the ground floor. And plus, you've got the scorned audience of the Chargers just begging for a San Diego football team.
And that is ripe to create a very robust fan base.
Agreed. And here's my prediction, Smithy. And I think the writing is on the wall. I think this can actually happen. Here's my prediction for this season. I truly believe that the San Diego Fleet will, on average, have a higher attendance than did the Los Angeles Chargers this year.
That's a heck of a prediction, but it's a very plausible one, given if you've ever even seen,
The Stub Hub, the Soccer Hut.
I'm kind of confused right now because I don't know what a Los Angeles Charger is. Is this a real thing?
Los Angeles Chargers, I think they might be a football team up in Los Angeles.
Okay. Like, is it in Los Angeles proper?
Yeah, it's in Los Angeles proper. The Chargers, I know it sounds super familiar, but Los Angeles doesn't compute. Mm-mm. Well, it's this football team, and they play
in some research later.
They play in a soccer hut, and it's embarrassing. The place only holds $27,000. 27,000 people.
Dollars may be correct as well.
Parking is $100.
Wait.
$100
for parking
to
at
park at StubHub Center.
Hut?
Yes, $100, Smith. Mm-hmm. That is not exaggeration. $100. If you want to go park and tailgate, it'll cost you $100 at the StubHub Center, and you go in to see a 100% opposing fan base. I was at the Raiders Chargers game, and it was no joke. 90 to 95% Raiders fans.
You know what? Bless those Raiders fans.
Yeah. And they couldn't even sell out. There were at least 2,000 empty seats. They blocked off large portions of the upper deck of the soccer hut with their ridiculous Fight for LA slogan.
It's probably those 2,000 people were trying to find some elsewhere to park, but they couldn't get to the stadium in time.
That's true. There was too much traffic. But we're getting worked up again, Smithy. Let's close these old wounds. Let's write off the Chargers. This is not a Chargers podcast.
They don't exist.
They don't exist to us anymore. You know who does exist?
Who might that be?
The San Diego Fleet.
Yes, they do.
You know who else exists?
Who?
The Shipyard.
The effects wasn't on your mic. It was only on my mic. We are professionals.
Hands down, the most professionally of professionals.
Hey, follow us on the social medias, where you can be found at the Shipyard SD on Twitter.
And Instagram.
Also the same name on Instagram and Facebook. We got them all three locked down because we are so professional.
Yeah, it's called coverage.
We'd also like to thank, of course, the Beard Club for the sponsorship. We do apologize for the preceding minutes and hope that you stay on board.
Hopefully we will still have a sponsor for the second episode.
Well, I certainly hope so, because more and more men these days, Smithy, are leaving their razor behind and letting their facial hair flow. The Beard Club is a company that provides natural and affordable beard grooming products for men and has been instrumental in leading the charge for this bearded revolution. With the beard season in full force and events like No Shave November and Movember rising in popularity, the Beard Club is now offering an incredible deal for the season. Check out thebeardclub.com/best-deal-ever, and you will find the Beard Club's growth oil is one of the best-selling and most highly rated grooming items, and the prices have been slashed for this special time of the year.
I love deals.
I love deals. I love beards.
Me too.
Listen, you don't want to see my stupid naked face without this beard.
No.
It is a terrible sight.
Hide your chin.
But thanks again for the support, Beard Club. We hope you stick around. Highly doubt that you will. But go check out that deal. Your beard will appreciate it. And thank you, listener, for podcasting with us. We are, of course, the boys at the yard. Our milkshakes are better than yours, Smithy.
Damn right they're better than yours.